What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the ProtoART. So I'm going to show you how to make a shaded stamp right now. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. So I mentioned in a previous video in making a shaded stamp easily in Procreate. Here's how you do it. I'm going to use my default main inker brush that's available for free on my Gumroad account. And with my finger, I'm going to draw a circle real fast. And just kind of make that shape as round as I can get it. Here we go. Release and release. There we go. So this is going to be our pupil, or the colored part of the eye. Going to make the pupil. Boom. And I'm probably going to fill this in. You know what? I'll erase away a little bit because I kind of want like a shine to be on this eyeball. You can make it as nice and fancy as you want to, and probably a little bit here so it's a little shine. So one of the main things I wanted to do for this particular eye is create this like already pre-made tone to it, so it doesn't matter what color you add to it, it's always going to have this like slight tint to it. You'll see, it'll make sense in a second here. So I'm just drawing this really rough eye. Of course you want to take your time and make yours look a lot better than mine. But what I'm gonna want to do is make sure that this layer is set to reference. And there are no open lines on this. So I want to color basically this area right here. So with that set to reference, I'm going to choose, all my colors are going to be set to black right now because we're just making the stamp. If you want to, you can add like your little eyelashes or whatever. Okay, so on a new layer, let's merge that. As long as it's not set to reference, on a new layer, I'm just going to drag and drop within this open space here. So by default, this is how it will look. Boom, it's going to be solid black. I'm going to lower the opacity. So I want to have it, you know, depending on how much opacity you have is how dark the shade is going to be on there. So I'm going to keep it around like 30%. Anywhere too high, like I would say like 50 is too much. I'll dial it back to around like 30, 35. You can get away with it being a little less, but for this example, I'm going to keep it around like 30 something. 37, sure. Okay. So next thing you're going to want to do is hide your background. I only do this because I've had issues before when I exported it as a JPEG. It picked up that it wasn't solid white and it had issues. So let's just hide the background. And we're going to say, hit the wrench icon, share, and choose JPEG. Now save it to a location that you can find on your iPad. So now that I have it successfully exported, I'm going to re-import this back. So we're going to show our background layer again. Now I can clear these out. And click your little brush icon. We're gonna make a brand new brush right now. So hit the little plus button. And the spacing, as long as you have, I should have mentioned that as well, but as long you want to make sure that your image is as centered as you can when you do export it. Just because when you do use this as a stamp, it may not be super accurate as far as the location placement. So we're gonna hit the plus icon. The stroke, I'm gonna set the spacing all the way up to max. And under shape, like you can leave everything else default. Under shape, you're going to choose the shape that you just made and hit import, and whatever location you saved it to, you want to find it right now. So once you have your shape selected, with 2 fingers you're going to tap your screen and it should invert that image. So now your image should be shown as white and the background should be hidden. So it should look like this. Once you're satisfied, hit done. And the only other things I would change are under Apple Pencil. You're going to bring that opacity all the way down because you want it to be solid color. You don't want it to be transparent. And under properties, you're going to bring the maximum size up all the way. And it'll just give you the freedom to kind of create a stamp that's larger or smaller depending on how you adjust the slider. Now, call it whatever you want to, just so you remember it. I'm just going to leave it as Untitled Brush for now. I'm going to hit done. So now I've done correctly. When you tap on your screen, whether it's with the pencil or your finger, it should be accurate to where you have it, and you'll see a slight transparency. So now you can see my stamp is created that has a tone built into it. Now the cool thing about this, I'll just tap on my pencil, is it doesn't matter what color I pick, it'll have that slight tone to it. So I can drag a color, let's try that again. And I can drag a color in, and because it's within that enclosed area, it's going to fill in that color. But you'll notice if I paint outside of this area, let me just bring my brush back to a default brush. Bring this opacity back up. Shit. All right, let's do this part over again. Okay. So now that you have your brush created, you're gonna test this out. So I'm gonna change my color to black, just so it's the default there. Here's the brand new brush I just created. Either with the finger or your pencil, you can tap on the screen and it should be accurate to where you have it placed, as long as it was centered. So you can see it's functioning how it should. Tapping my screen. Okay. So now the cool thing about this, I'm gonna tap once, create my brand new stamp. And because it's a reference layer and the area within it, let me just change my brush back to a default one now. And because this area is enclosed, meaning there's no open lines like that, it's all in one closed area, I can drag and drop stuff within it and it's going to maintain within that shape. So I'm going to make a new layer, make sure the opacity is all the way up. I'm going to choose blue. And because it's a reference, it's going to use that enclosed area as its guide. So I can drag a color right into it. Boom. And because it's already shaded, let me put this below it. It adds that cool tone to it. Ah, look at that. So now I can paint outside of it and you'll see the tone difference. If I zoom in here, make my brush a little different color real fast. So you can see, because this area already had that little slight shade when we lowered the opacity in it. Now this area right here, my terrible arrow, but you get what I mean, is darker than this area, even though it's the exact same color. So you can use this for various things. So in the previous tutorial I made alternating color brush, I mentioned you can use it for clouds and grass and stuff. So if you were to make like a cool cloud shape the same way, you know, you make your little cloud, if you were to shade the area within the cloud slightly, it would create that tone already built into it, regardless whatever color you choose. And this, for example, I just used was for an eyeball. So again, it doesn't matter what color I choose because it's already pre-made with a shade built into it. It's always going to be slightly darker. And this just saves you a ton of time if you wanted to make, like, I don't know, a nose or lips or something. So you did like little lips and you wanted to have like the top lip kind of shaded. You know how the top lip kind of has the light that goes on the bottom right here. If you did that technique, this would always be shaded. No matter what color you apply to it, it's going to be darker. So you can use the same color on the bottom, but the top one would always be darker. So it's just a fun and cool way to kind of save you time for things that you use over and over and over. And it creates a cool little look. You get a lot more detail from not doing too much extra work. Anyway, guys, hopefully that wasn't too complicated. If you do need help with it, be sure to ask, leave a comment below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss out on a new video. And hopefully you enjoyed. I'll try to come up with other videos to create for you guys. This is just a fun little technique I came across a little while ago, and I use it in almost everything I do. Just saves a bunch of time. Anyway, be safe out there. Talk to you soon. All right.